So this morning, I'm, if I'm honest, feeling a little bit nervous because we are currently at Vestrahorn in Iceland. Vestrahorn is, I think, probably top of my list of places I want to photograph. And the weather forecast for this morning, when we checked it last night, did not look good, and we're thinking, oh no, we're not going to get good conditions. And I looked out the window this morning at about 4:30 in the morning, and I could see stars, and it looks like it's going to be okay this morning. But we parked the car up. Hannah's taking a shot, as you can probably see behind me, she's taking a shot of... What are you doing, Hannah?
The white bit.
Hannah's taking a shot of the white bit. Probably shouldn't disturb her too much because she's probably just as nervous as I am. And I just took a shot, actually, whilst we were coming down here. It was raining a little bit, but I just took a shot. If you can see over there, we've got the main mountain of Vestrahorn behind me, and over these rocks out in the water. And just, the sun's actually just about to come up above the horizon now. But just a little bit earlier on, there was this really kind of soft light with the rain as well, creating a bit of haze. And we're actually on our way down this track down to the end, where there's some sand dunes, which are really photogenic, and that was sort of what we were aiming for. But as we're walking down this path, I just had to stop and take an image. But how are your photos turning out, Hannah?
Yeah, I've done a little full-frame panoramic of the white bit. I'm quite happy with it, but I think we should move on.
Yeah. I think we should move on now.
Put the vlogging camera away and...
Yeah, we're going to get back down to the sand dunes and see if we can get some images as the sun's coming up. So we don't seem to be making much progress along this path. We've had to stop again because I saw these sand dunes down here with these, you can see these three sort of sand dunes with orange, yellow grass on them and black sand. And I just loved the way that these three sand dunes were sitting. And if we go further along up to the headland, I think we'll lose this pool with the reflections of the mountains in it. So I wanted to stop and take an image here where we have these reflections of a mountain behind the sand dunes in the pool. And we're just getting some really nice light now as well. So I'm going to take an image. I'm going to bracket these images, but I'm doing it manually. And I don't have any, actually don't have any filters on at all, because I don't think that that's really necessary. If I was to put a polarizing filter on now, I'm worried I'd lose the reflections of a mountain in the water, so I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and take 3 images. So first one's going to be at a normal exposure. I don't know if I get that into shot there. So first one's going to be normal exposure. I've got a 2-second delay, just to prevent camera shake as I press the button. And I'd drop probably 1.5 stops, take another image. I am going to do a brighter exposure as well. I mean, generally I tend not to use the brighter exposures much, but I like just to have one in the bag just in case I need it for brightening up the foreground at all. But the sun's coming up now and it's just hitting that mountain, and yeah, it's absolutely beautiful.
We are in Iceland. You might have guessed that from the scenery behind us.
And also the fact that I said earlier on that we're in Iceland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just in case that doesn't make the cut. So it would have been nice to do a bit more of an opening vlog for you guys when we were taking some photos with amazing light going on. However, there wasn't that big a window of amazing light. The weather forecast for today has been very much patchy cloud cover, and we were lucky enough to get, I don't know, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, 15 minutes of amazing light just as the sun was coming up.
And then rain.
Yeah. So we were hiking out. So here at Vestrahorn, the sort of headland bit where these dunes are, where we're standing now, is a little bit of a walk away from the car park. I mean, you can park down here, but we thought we'd park up there and walk down. But yeah, just when the light was great, we thought, right, we'll stop and take a photo, and we're really pleased we did as well. I'm pleased with some of the photos we got.
Yes, that was when the great light was now. So so now we're just waiting for the clouds to lift off the mountain peaks. I haven't yet taken a panoramic, which is kind of the thing on my bucket list as such of what I really wanted to take when here. So we're waiting for the right conditions. Just had a nice coffee. It's a game of patience, I think, waiting for the gaps in the clouds.
So Vestrahorn is it's an area I've wanted to photograph for quite a while, and I think coming to Iceland, I mean, the reason we came to Iceland, we hadn't actually thought of coming to Iceland specifically to do photography. It wasn't sort of the top of our list. It was kind of one of those things we wanted to do eventually.
In the future, yes, but not.
But then a few months ago, Hannah's mum announced that she wanted to come to Iceland to celebrate her retirement. So we she suggested we came along. So we came along. So you can't pass up an opportunity to come to Iceland. And I have to say, it has blown our minds completely. It's one of those places where, you know, you see it so often as a photographer. You always see the photos of Kirkjufell and Vestrahorn and loads of vlogs about Iceland, and you kind of feel like you know it to a certain extent, even having not been there. And I have to say that actually coming here, that first night when we landed in the plane, we just had
that was
the
amazing.
Light was just unbelievable, and we had northern lights as well.
We had a KP6.
We had a KP6 northern lights. We weren't vlogging it. It was too dark really to vlog anyway. We have a tight schedule. The first 2 nights, the first full day was dedicated to family, so it was we were trying to get a sort of balance between holiday and photography trip. So we thought, well, rather than sort of trying to run around out of season in a camper van, which was our first plan, we thought what we'd do is we'd sort of pick the main sites we wanted to photograph. We had a couple of days which were just kind of holiday, doing family holiday things, and then we've come off on our own now, and we're staying a couple of nights here at a place called Hofn, which is next to Vestrahorn. Then we're going to head back to Hofn as well, which is near where the iceberg lagoon is, and then finally we'll have our final night in Vik, which is where we've got the black sand beach and the sea stacks. So that's our plan for this trip. Sometimes I think when we were in Scotland, we kind of learnt our lesson slightly, didn't we? When we did. If you're always running around, putting yourself under pressure to get to lots of locations and take shots all the time, sometimes you end up missing those good shots. So anyway, we've had a couple of nights here to give ourselves a good chance of getting a decent shot of Vestrahorn, and I think this morning we probably managed it. Hopefully. We're gonna now. I think it's time for a cup of coffee. But it's clouded over a bit, so we're gonna wait for the clouds to lift. Hopefully, have a cup of coffee, and see if we can get a few more shots before we move on. We've come a little bit further around the headland, and the reason for that is I wanted to come to this spot here, where basically the bay is creating a really nice lead-in line up towards the mountain. And I think that this image will lend itself quite nicely to a 10-stop filter. So the 10-stop filter is just going to blur that sea out completely, and with a 10-stop it's about a 1-minute exposure. So I'm actually having a bit of an experiment. I'm doing some with a 1 minute exposure and some a little bit shorter, so that I can bracket those shots and do an exposure blend later in post-processing if I need to. The other thing which I'm having to contend with is that, as you can probably see, there's quite a few people on the beach now, some of them photographers, so I'm not going to begrudge them too much, but they have decided to wear bright fluorescent jackets, and as a result a lot of my images are going to end up with big fluorescent streaks through them. So please don't judge me. I'm probably going to have to clone them out using the clone stamp tool in Photoshop afterwards. But I think I can get away with that. They're not a permanent feature in the landscape, so I'm okay with that. And whilst I was here, Hannah decided to come over and join me as well. So Hannah's got the 400mm lens on.
I do.
And what were you doing?
So there's a section of the mountain that has got snow on it, and basically you've got kind of a triangle created where you've got one of the peaks coming down from the right, one coming down from the left, and they're both green without the snow on it, and then you've got the snow on the mountain behind it, so it's a triangle. And I find it very pleasing to look at. So I'm basically doing a mini panoramic of 4 frames stitched together, and trying to get as much detail in there as possible with all the snow and the rock and the lines created. I find it really pleasing. So
she also wants to use the filters, so I'm going to hurry up and go and finish taking my photo so that she can have her filters back. So I'll do this now. I'm going to take a shot now. It's going to be a 1 minute exposure. I better just check there's no water on the front of the lens as well, because it was drizzly earlier. That's all fine. So we'll go ahead and take the image, and there we go. I'll leave this running for a minute, and we'll see what happens. Wow, what a morning it has been. Vestrahorn has been really high on my list of places to photograph for quite a long time now. Just some of the most epic shots come from this place. And when I woke up this morning and I saw that actually the weather looked like it was going to be okay, I actually got really, really nervous about it, because I was thinking, right, we're going to Vestrahorn, the weather looks good, we should be able to get some good images. And you know that feeling when you're just, you're in a place and you think, wow, I need to get these images which I've had in my mind for this place, and then you start to get really nervous about it, and I was just getting really, really nervous about it. But we jumped in the car, came down, and it was so worth it. It's just been absolutely beautiful.
It's just so enjoyable, and you see images online and you don't really appreciate how much more fun it is actually coming to these places and actually seeing it for yourself. It's really beautiful here. The shot that I definitely wanted to get before coming here was a panorama of everything. So basically all of Vestrahorn. So I've played around with some panoramics. The lighting was then actually better when I cracked out the 14mm prime, which fitted it all in. And there's something quite satisfying, that instant gratification of using an ultra wide angle lens, because you can then see the results straight away, whereas with a panorama that you need to stitch together afterwards. So quite happy with that.
Yeah, and I think I managed to get some nice shots with the 10 stops as well, so that worked quite well. We actually, I went down onto the beach for the last couple of shots. I didn't bother vlogging it because some rain came in and started to drench everything. I took a couple of 10 stop images down there as well, getting some nice reflections in the water. So I think we're going to head off back to the guest house now, warm up, get ourselves a cup of tea. This afternoon we're planning to go to a glacier, and glaciers have got ice in them, which tend to be quite cold. So we're going to make sure. Let's warm up first. Yes. But yeah, if you did enjoy this vlog, then please do consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then please do consider subscribing as well.
looking down the lens telescopically, telephoto lens telescopically.
Telephoto lens telescopically.
Yep. And seeing what shapes are created and going with something really. And the light catching as well.
Yeah.
So light and composition.